A new study finds Toronto has the third worst traffic congestion in the world. The latest TomTom Traffic Index examined trends for 2023 in 387 cities around the globe. It looked at gridlock, average travel time, the impact of rush hour, and the environmental impact of congestion. This is a live look of the city's roads today. Now, on average last year, it took Toronto drivers 29 minutes to drive just 10 kilometers. That's 50 seconds longer than in 2022. The worst rush hour was Wednesdays between 5 and 6 p.m. And for more on the Toronto Drive, we're joined live by Matti Semiatycki. He is the professor of geography and planning and director of the Infrastructure Institute at the University of Toronto. Thanks for joining us. Talk about a dubious distinction. Toronto has the slowest commute time in all of Canada and some of the worst gridlock in the world. What stood out to you about these latest findings?
What stood out to me is how little of a surprise it is for anyone from Toronto who's used to our congestion. Anyone who drives around this city, tries to take public transit, tries to cycle, knows how hard it is to get around. Even Tom Cruise has commented on how hard it is to get around this city. We are stuck in gridlock. We're doing construction everywhere. Then there's more cars on the road as more people move to our region. And we just haven't been able to build enough public transit or provide people enough other alternatives. And we have the consequences. We are stuck in traffic. It's costing people hours a year, and it's just a huge headache.
Yeah, you know it's a real problem when Tom Cruise gets here for TIFF and all he can talk about is Toronto's traffic woes. What is it about our city's gridlock that makes it so much worse than most other places?
Well, there's a few issues. One is we're doing construction everywhere all at once. That's creating localized gridlock. And then there's just the bigger issue. We have a series of highways that have no road tolls on them, like in many other cities. That means that you have more people using them. And there's just a lot of congestion. It's just not all in the downtown either. Many of the images you've showed were in the downtown, but it's right across our city, often in the suburbs, often at highway interchanges. And we're just gridlocked. And there's not a lot of alternatives. We missed a generation of building public transit. We don't have enough cycle lanes. It's hard to walk in parts of our region. And so people are dependent on their cars. And this is the consequence, that we have a huge amount of congestion. And it's going to take a long time to dig ourselves out of it.
And why do you think we just can't figure it out? I mean, you hear all levels of government talking about it, so many politicians coming up with their ideas, yet too many people are spending just too much time behind the wheel. Why is it so complicated?
We're a highly auto-oriented region, and the car is really important to how people have gotten around. And we haven't been able, in much of the region, to build a viable public transit system and convince people that it's really an alternative for how they could get around or to walk or to use public transit. And so people are dependent on their cars. And when they become dependent, it also becomes highly political. That to provide alternatives or to make it harder to drive around or to provide road tolls is just a non-starter politically. Other regions have used these tools and techniques in a way to then relieve some of their congestion challenges. We haven't been able to move in that direction. The TomTom study itself says that building more roads is not the solution, and yet that's exactly the path that we seem to be going down in this region. It hasn't worked elsewhere. It's not going to work here, and we're just going to be stuck in the same traffic mess that we're in now.
Matti, this will not surprise you. Toronto's commute times are only getting worse, not better. What do you think the future of Toronto's Drive looks like? Do you think more people will actually ditch their cars?
In parts of the region, we are seeing it in our downtown cores and in areas that we've built that are walkable. People are using those other alternatives. But in much of the region, we continue to build more roads and we continue to build more sprawling, low-density development that can only really be accessed by car. And that's just going to continue to contribute to the challenges that we have now and make it worse until we really get serious about building differently, intensifying, and building the public transit. We've already started construction on public transit, which is great. We need to do more. We need to do faster. We need to then provide people opportunities to cycle and walk. And that's how we're going to get out of the challenge that we face today.
Matti Semiatycki, always good to get your thoughts. Thanks so much for this.